I have made a lot of mistakes when it comes to building tech products. It's pretty difficult to build tech product, and if you don't know your way around the ecosystem, you're going to lose a lot of time, money and energy and not get anything in return. It will help you a lot if you were to save yourself from going over the same experiences by learning from my experiences instead. Hi, I'm Akhil and I'm the CEO at Dominate.ai, which is just a more effective and efficient sales management tool for B2B sales teams. And today, I'm going to share with you 5 ways of how not to build a tech product that you think will change the world for good. 1. By outsourcing the design function. After you've thought out your billion-dollar idea, you would ideally want to design a rough prototype on how the app would look and work. You can create really rough wireframes yourself, but a good design from which you can build the actual app would definitely require someone who's way more skilled as a professional designer. Now, design is something that evolves really quickly, and there are usually a lot of changes in design, especially once the development of the product starts. All team members usually have different opinions when it comes to design, and this leads to quite a few rounds of changes to the design. In the design phase, the designer cannot possibly think of all scenarios and edge cases, and hence a lot of changes and new requirements come about during the development phase. And that's when you'd wish you had a designer on board. A rookie mistake here is to think that you can hire an agency to create the initial designs and then you're good to go, and you can start with the development process. But the issue here is about 50% of the designer's work actually starts with the development process, and then it can get really expensive for you to go back to the same agency or a new agency and modify those designs, and also design new screens and functionality within the same guidelines. So it's always recommended to have a designer on board throughout the entire lifecycle of the process, because as soon as you hit the market with your product, your users are going to demand a lot of new features and that you hadn't even thought about before. And that's when you need your designer the most. And it's just faster and easier to have the same designer throughout the process. 2. By outsourcing the product management function. Let's say you have the designers, the business analysts, and the developers, but you don't have the expertise in-house for product management. And that's when you thought, why not outsource product management and hire a freelancer or an agency to do it for you? Product management is basically keeping a track of the evolution of your product, what features can be developed based on user insight, and prioritizing them and planning for their releases. It's probably one of the most important jobs that exist in your firm, and this is something that you cannot outsource. If you're the founder of the firm, you would be the ideal person to be a product manager. But if you feel you're better somewhere else, like tech or design, and don't want to be bothered with talking to users and creating pipelines for features, you would ideally want to hire a great product manager who would be great at managing, prioritizing, and executing. So outsourcing the most important job, which is product management, is definitely not recommended. 3. By outsourcing the tech building function. If you're building a tech product, then tech team is the heart and soul of everything that you do. While supplementing your tech team with extra resources can be a good idea, but not having a CD on the team and relying completely on an agency to do this for you is a very dangerous mistake that almost no company recovers from. You need to have the expertise and the ability to develop great products in-house. This is something that's not replaceable, especially if you're in the business of building high-tech products. High levels of quality can only be achieved if you have people who are in it for the long run and own a piece of the pie. You will never have the edge if you work with an external team because you will always be prone to the principal agent problem. 4. By outsourcing the recruiting the team process. When your team is small, you need to be sure of the type of people that you're working with. You cannot make a lot of mistakes in hiring, and you need to be mindful of adding extra weight to your top performers by tying them down with low quality resources. Ideally, in a small team, everyone needs to be a star performer and needs to be multi-talented. It always pays to have people who have had past experience of doing something similar. In small teams, compatibility is a huge factor as well that needs to be carefully checked and planned for. Ideally, as a founder, you'd want to be involved in the entire recruitment process so that you can assess the person you're going to be working with very closely. A very common mistake first-time founders make is getting caught up with day-to-day activities and ignoring recruitment and outsourcing the entire process, thinking that it's probably not an important task. If you're too busy to be involved in the entire process, make sure you're there at least in the final rounds. Experienced founders soon realize that recruitment is the most important part of the job, as they have to ensure compatibility, cooperation, and collaboration amongst the teams. So the moral here is to never outsource the final rounds of the recruitment process. 5. By raising investment before you found product market fit. If you're an experienced professional and you've recently started a company, you probably have quite a few investor contacts that you may be tempted to use and raise some investment early on in your entrepreneurship journey. In the recent years, raising money has also become comparatively easier with more VCs and angels joining the ecosystem. But it's really important to resist this temptation and try and create a solid foundation where your product and business is self-sustaining. Now, this is something that's very hard to achieve, and this is why people take shortcuts and raise investments early on, thinking that they'll reach product market fit and self-sustenance much easily once they have the right team and a lot of marketing dollars. Now, this is far from true, and it becomes way harder to find product market fit when you have a larger team, because it takes more time to take decisions and more time to execute. A smaller team, on the other hand, can work very quickly and with less investments. And with less investments, obviously, you're hard-pressed to find creative ways to make things work. A lot of funded companies declare bankruptcy, and more often than not, the reason is raising investments way too early. And this is a common mistake both founders and VCs make. I hope this video gives you a lot of insight and saves you time and effort on your journey to changing the world. Thank you for watching. You can subscribe to this channel if you like content around technology and entrepreneurship. Thank you, and see you in the next episode.